Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 22 Conventions of Love. It was early in the morning. Saturday. Naruto stood in the doorway with Rias, Irina, and Metatron, handing out some last-minute instructions to the Archangel and his newest friend. Also, just in case some kind of post-apocalyptic emergency comes along, I've bought you all cell phones. My number is already keyed in on speed dial, so don't be afraid to give us a call, okay? Don't worry, Naruto-san, Irina said with a smile and good cheer. We've got everything under control here. Yes, worry not, Ninja-sama. I shall protect your home, even if it costs me my life. Metatron gave Naruto a thumbs up and flashed his pearly whites. Naruto could have sworn the Archangel's teeth made a pinging sound. I'm counting on you too. Naruto looked down to see Ophis staring up at him. She was grabbing at his shirt and tugging. What's wrong, Ophis? You should stay, Ophis said with a serious tone in her voice. Ah, are you gonna miss me? Naruto scratched Ophis behind the ears. The dragon goddess of unlimited power became putty in his hands. I'm sorry, Ophis, but Rias and I have planned this for nearly 2 weeks, and she's really looking forward to it. Rias had been ecstatic when she'd heard about the anime convention that would be happening in Akihabara. Ever since then, she'd made plans to go there, buying tickets, buying cosplay, planning out their itinerary. There was no way he could deny her this chance to go when she was looking forward to it this much. Ophis's expression didn't change, but he got the feeling that she was disappointed. Fine, but when you come back, you're going to take me out somewhere. Sure, Naruto said without really thinking about it. I'll take you somewhere. Rias rolled her eyes but smiled. Do you ever think before you speak? When Naruto just looked at her in confusion, she leaned over and kissed him on the cheek. It's nothing. Naruto frowned at Rias, but shook his head and dispelled his confusion. He turned back to the others and thought about any other last-minute instructions he should give. Rias had already informed them of how everything in the house worked, so he didn't think there was anything more to say. As he looked at the 4 other people standing in the room with him and Rias, a flash of pain struck him. Ravel is still locked up in her room, he asked. Yesterday after school, Naruto and Rias had arrived home from doing some work that Shrezex had foisted on them to discover that Ravel had locked herself in her room. Naruto had tried to get her to come out. She'd told him to leave her alone. Then he'd tried to enter her room. She'd lit his head on fire. Naruto didn't know what was wrong with Ravel, but his inability to help her was eating away at him. Don't worry, Naruto, Kaneko said. I'll talk some sense into her. Naruto reached up and gently scratched Kaneko's ears. The white-haired Nekosho purred and leaned into his hand. Thank you, he said. Soon after, Naruto and Rias left the house, several bags filled with cosplay outfits in their hands. A taxi sat outside on the driveway, waiting for them. As he opened the door for Rias to enter, he unwittingly found himself staring at their large home. Naruto, are you okay? Rias asked, reaching out to grab his hand. Yes. Naruto took a deep breath and smiled, even though he didn't feel like smiling. I'm fine. Rias didn't look convinced, but she didn't say anything else. After closing the door behind her, Naruto climbed in on the other side, sat down, and buckled up. Once he'd done so, Rias scooted over to the middle seat and leaned her head on his shoulder. The taxi then pulled out of the driveway and drove down the street. Naruto took one last glance at the house, his thoughts on his friend who was currently hurting over something that he couldn't see. Ravel, Devil Ninja, Kaneko watched Naruto and Rias enter the taxi, which drove off moments later. Standing by her side, Irina waved until the taxi was out of sight. Well, I guess it's just gonna be us, she said in that cheerful voice of hers. It's going to feel weird without Naruto-san and Rias-san around. Are you okay, Kaneko-san? I am fine, Kaneko said. It's Ravel that I'm worried about. Irina's smile shifted, no longer cheerful, but showing off a sadness that Kaneko understood. Ravel, she doesn't like me very much. It is not that she doesn't like you, Kaneko said carefully, it's just that she believes you're a threat. A threat? Why would she think I was a threat? Irina's confused expression was fetching. Kaneko wondered what Naruto thought when he saw the cute faces this exorcist could make. More than that, she wondered if making a face like that would help her get Naruto to think of her as more than that cute girl who lives with him. Because Naruto likes you, and she has a hard enough time getting his attention because of how she acts. What? Irina's cheeks suddenly went red. Naruto-san likes me. Kaneko gave Irina a deadpan stare. Do you think Naruto would let you stay with us if he didn't like you? Oh, you mean, like a friend, right? What else would I mean? That's good, Irina said with a relieved sigh. Is it? Of course. While I really like talking to Naruto-san, I don't think it would be a good idea to let something happen between us. He's dating Rias, and the Bible says that a man and woman should remain loyal to each other. If something happened between us, it would mean that Naruto-san was being unfaithful, and I would also become a sinful Scarlet Woman. If that happened, I'm sure Michael-sama would be upset with me. Oh, Michael-sama, worry not, for I shall remain faithful. Amen. If you say so, Kaneko said. She wondered how long Irina would maintain that attitude with them. Naruto had a way of making you fall for him without realizing it. What's this about Scarlet Women? Metatron asked. Nothing, Metatron-sama. We were just talking about the importance of remaining faithful. Metatron crossed his arms and nodded. Indeed, I am pleased to hear that you understand the importance of faith. One must always remain faithful, even when it seems like all hope is lost. As the archangel dubbed the voice of God lectured a starry-eyed Irina about faith, Kaneko left, wandering across the wooden archway toward Ravel's room. Ravel. She knocked on the door several times. Ravel, it's me. Come out. There was a moment of silence. Are Naruto-sama and Rias-sama gone? Yes. Another moment of silence was followed by the soft sound of footsteps. The door soon opened a crack, and a single bloodshot blue eye peeked out. Can I help you with something? Asked Ravel. I just came to check on you, Kaneko said. How are you feeling? Like I just had my heart ripped out. Kaneko ignored the spiteful tone in Ravel's voice. You know that Naruto didn't say no to you, right? He'd already made plans before you asked him. I know that. Ravel sounded glum. It still hurts. I know, but you're overreacting. Overreacting? Ravel's eyes could have melted steel. How am I overreacting? You're acting like Naruto told you that he doesn't like you, that he doesn't want to spend time with you. It's true, isn't it? Ravel spat. If Naruto-sama wanted to spend time with me, then he would have done so already. Instead he practically ignores me in favor of Rias-sama. Rias Bucho is Naruto's girlfriend. It's only natural that he would spend more time with her than you. You can only say that because you spend all the time you want with him. He doesn't ignore you. Kaneko didn't get angry as Ravel yelled at her. She knew that her friend was upset and hurt, just as she understood that this was her friend's way of releasing all of that pent-up anguish. Naruto has never ignored you, Kaneko said calmly. He always goes out of his way to make sure you're comfortable and happy. You're just upset that he hasn't gone out with you outside of the house. Of course I am. Ravel looked ready to start crying again. Naruto-sama is always going out with you, Rias-sama, and even Irina-san, but he never goes out with me. Why? Why won't he spend time with me like he does you and the others? Because we ask him to spend time with us, Kaneko answered. Naruto's really busy with a lot of stuff, so he doesn't really think about going out unless someone else mentions it. Even Rias Bucho needs to tell Naruto that they're going out, otherwise she and Naruto would never go on any dates. Naruto had been taking on a lot of burdens recently. He'd been working on something with Sirzex for the past 2 weeks, helping Rias with her workload, helping train her in Issei, plus his own training. She, Rias, and Irina had been asking him to spend time with them because if they didn't, then Naruto would work himself into the ground. It was for his sake as much as their own. If you want to spend time with Naruto, then you need to ask him, Kaneko continued. I did ask him, in case you didn't realize that, Ravel grumbled. I know that, just as I understand that it's my fault this happened. Ravel's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide. Kaneko. I didn't know that Naruto would be going out with Rias Bucho this weekend. If I had known that, I would have never suggested you ask him out. I would have told you to wait until next weekend. And no, this wasn't that's why, when Naruto comes back home, I'm going to make sure he spends time with you, Kaneko interrupted. I'm going to make this right. As Ravel blushed from the roots of her hair down to her toes, Kaneko promised herself that she would make amends for upsetting her friend. Come hell or high water, Naruto was going to take Ravel out on a date next weekend. It was the least she could do. Devil Ninja, the taxi took him and Rias all the way to the train station, where they hopped onto a train that would take them to Akihabara. The train was crowded, all the seats were taken when they arrived, and the many people standing were packed shoulder to shoulder, like sardines, only smellier. He and Rias had to stand near the exit, which was the only place left. Their bags sat against the wall next to them. He stood directly behind her, enjoying the feel of her amazing butt pressing against him. His arms were around her slim waist, and Rias had placed her hands over his, leaning into him. This not only allowed them to bask in their shared closeness, but it also kept train gropers from trying anything funny. Naruto looked out the window as the train moved. Unlike most people, who'd likely only see a blur, he could see the buildings as if the train was standing still. Yet even though he was looking at the passing scenery, he didn't see any of it. Are you worried about Ravel? Rias asked, shifting against him. Naruto sighed. Am I that transparent? To me you are. Rias took a hand off his arms and reached behind her to caress his cheek. Naruto saw her concerned eyes staring at him in the window's reflection. What's on your mind? Leaning into her hand, Naruto said, Ravel was really depressed, but I don't know why. I want to help her, but without even knowing what's wrong, there's nothing I can do. I don't like feeling helpless like this. If it had been something simple like someone being mean to her, then Naruto could have done something, but without any enemy to fight, any need to protect her from someone else, he was at a loss. Rias hummed for a moment. Can I ask you something? What do you think about polygamy? Naruto was startled. What kind of random question was that? Still, he answered to the best of his abilities. I know what it is, but I've never really thought about it. Why do you ask? Rias didn't answer at first. When she did, she spoke slowly, as if she didn't know how to properly word what she wanted to say and was carefully choosing her words. Did you know that in the underworld, a lot of high-class devils have harems? I did not know that, Naruto admitted. I thought the only devils who had harems were douchebags like Riser. Rias chuckled at the comment. She still didn't like Riser very much. It's not something we talk about often, but it's something of an open secret. Riser isn't the only person who turned his peerage into a harem. He's just the most obnoxious about it. Is that so? Why are you telling me this? Because Kaneko and Ravel love you. Naruto would admit that he could be dense, but being dense wasn't the same as being stupid. He could see where Rias was going with this. He understood. She wasn't talking about them loving him in a familial way, but in the same way that she loved him. Rias's mentioning of polygamy suddenly made a whole lot of sense. Rias must have seen the realization on his face. Her smile was soft and gentle. I think the reason that Ravel is so upset is because you haven't been spending much time with her. She loves you, and the fact that you're always spending time with other people or training hurts her. I see. Naruto thought about all the things that Ravel did for him. The times she would bake him sweets. The times she would predict what he needed and respond before anyone else, as if she'd been observing him to make sure he never wanted for anything. All those moments, the little things she did, like how she'd worn nothing but an apron Friday morning, it all clicked together, like pieces to a puzzle suddenly fitting into place. What should I do? Naruto asked. He was conflicted. He loved Ravel. He really did. At the same time, the idea of expressing love for someone who was not Rias made him feel like he was being unfaithful to the most important person to him. Even if he loved Ravel, Rias was his world. Rias tenderly stroked his cheeks, and Naruto closed his eyes at her soothing touch. When we get back home, the first thing you are going to do is ask Ravel out on a date. And you're okay with that? Naruto narrowed his eyes. I know you, Rias, and I know that you dream of having a fairy tale relationship. You're looking for the kind of romance where the prince and princess ride off into the sunset on their giant mecha steed. Is this really something that you're okay with? Turning around in his arms, Rias threaded her hands through his hair, leaned up on her toes, and pressed her lips to his. Naruto held her tightly and melted into her kiss. Her lips were softer than the finest silk, and her nails gently scraping against his scalp was heaven. When she pulled back, her lips were curved upwards, and her eyes shone with a compassion that only she could ever pull off. I love Revel and Kaneko, Rias said. Kaneko has been a part of my family for years now, and Revel has grown on me. I want them to be happy, and I know that you make them happy. Naruto marveled at Rias's kindness. Rias was a princess. She could be spoiled, and she could be greedy, but her capacity to love was bigger than anyone else that he knew. When she loved someone, their happiness became her happiness, and she would do everything she could to make the people she loved happy. Holding Rias close, he placed his chin on her shoulder and closed his eyes. Have I ever told you that you're amazing? Not enough, Rias responded. Be sure to tell me that more often. I will, Naruto said, quietly chuckling to himself. He pulled Rias closer, and she responded by eagerly tightening her hold around his neck. I love you so much. I love you, too, Rias said. As the train continued on its way to Akihabara, Naruto and Rias held onto each other, feeling closer now than ever before. They ignored the catcalls and whistles from the people around them. Devil Ninja, Issei was just coming home from another contract. He'd been doing pretty well with those contracts, that is. While he used to suck at them, he'd eventually gotten the hang of it thanks to Naruto-sensei and Akeno-sama showing him the ropes. While he still completed less contracts than everyone else, he felt like he was getting a lot better. Oddly enough, even though he could now use transportation circles, he still rode on his bike. People simply expected him to be on a bike now, so it would be weird if he suddenly appeared inside of a transportation circle. As he opened the door to his house, Issei's eardrums were struck by shouting. Don't lie to me, you fucking bitch. I know you're the one who destroyed my bedroom. Era, I don't know what you're talking about, Kumbucket. Are you sure you didn't just destroy it yourself? Perhaps you were destroying things in your sleep. You fallen are pretty violent. I don't want to hear that from a disgusting half-breed like you, so shut up, half-devil whore. You foo-foo-foo, it seems like someone needs to have a lesson in humility. Anyo, please don't fight in the house you two. You stay out of this, none. Indeed, Asia-chan, please stand back while I mete out punishment to this pathetic excuse for a slave. You're going to regret calling me that. Issei stepped into the living room after taking off his shoes. His 3 housemates were all present, and 2 of them looked like they were about to come to blows. Asia stood between Akeno and Rainier, trying to settle the pair down. It was clear to Issei that she wasn't succeeding. Akeno and Rainier verbally beat the poor girl down whenever she tried to make them stop. He frowned when he saw the tears gathered in Asia's eyes. Few things bothered him. Asia crying was one of them. What's going on here? Issei asked, surprising the 3 girls. They must have been so into their fighting that they hadn't even noticed him enter. Aiz-san, Aiz-kun. Akeno quickly ran up to Issei and grabbed his arm. She pressed herself against him, and Issei suddenly had a hard time thinking when the heavenly softness of her breasts touched his arm. Aiz-kun, this fallen angel is being mean to me, Akeno said, purring. Could you kill her for me? Pretty please. What? Rainier squawked. I'm not doing anything. You're the bitch who keeps ruining my stuff. And don't go to your limp-dicked boyfriend for help, bitch. Your stuff. You foo-foo-foo. Dear girl, you don't have any stuff. Everything in this house belongs to us. The furniture in your room, the food that you eat, even toast clothes on your back do not belong to you. I could easily take them away if I wanted. In fact, maybe I should do that. Perhaps being forced to walk around naked will make you more amenable. Fucking cunt. Rainier ground out. Issei knew that he had to do something. He couldn't allow any fighting to go on in his parents' house, especially since a fight between these 2 could very well destroy the house. Reluctantly slipping out of Akeno's grasp, he went over to Asia. Asia-chan, what exactly happened here? I'm not really sure, Asia admitted. I was getting ready to take a bath when I heard screaming, but I think, Rainier-san's room was destroyed, and she's blaming Akeno-sama for it. Issei scratched the back of his head. Well, why don't we take a look at Rainier's room? Unlike Naruto's mansion, Issei's house was a simple 2-story home. Rias had hired people to expand it, so it now had several extra rooms, including extra bedrooms and an indoor hot spring. Rainer's room was on the second floor, 3 doors down from his. It was also a complete mess. The wallpaper appeared to have been ripped to shreds by an animal. It hung from the wall like curtains trailing against the floor. A single window sat in the room, situated against the far wall. It had been broken. Shattered glass fragments lay scattered along the floor. Even the bed had been demolished, torn apart and black, as if it had been struck by several bolts of lightning. Asia gasped and held a hand to her mouth. This is really awful. You see this? Rainier pointed at the destroyed room. There's no way I could have done this. My powers have been sealed by Azazel. I'm no more powerful than a pathetic human. That was true. Rainier didn't have any power right now, so she couldn't have done all this, which meant that the only person who could have done it was Akeno. But, even if Akeno was the perpetrator, Issei didn't want anyone blaming her for it. Well, let's not worry about who's responsible, Issei said at last. Akeno smirked at Rainier, who opened her mouth to scream. I'll help you fix this place up. That should be good enough, right? Rainier's mouth snapped shut. Akeno lost her smirk. What? Rainier asked, as if she couldn't believe he'd just offered to fix her room. Aiz-kun, Akeno started, a dangerous edge tinting her voice. You really don't have to do something like that, not for this vile wench. A vile wench, am I? Rainier snarled. Who's the one that destroyed my... Don't worry, Akeno-sama. Issei thumped his chest. I don't mind doing this. I've got this one customer who's always making me help build homes for people, so I'm pretty good at fixing stuff. That isn't what I meant, all right. Issei rolled up the sleeves to his blazer. Asia-chan. Why yes. Do you know if my homebuilding supplies are still in the garage? Yes, I think so. Awesome. Then I'll go and get those now. Would you like to help me? Asia brightened at the request. Yes, Akeno-sama. I know it's a lot of trouble, but, do you think you could help me, too? A conflicted expression crossed Akeno's face. Issei held his breath. If she said no, then his attempt at smoothing things over would fail. Fortunately, Akeno seemed to be willing to play along. She smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. Yufufufu, why, Aiz-kun, are you trying to order me around? Wa. No, of course not. Akeno-sama is the only one allowed to give orders. I know that. I was just making a request. That's all. Very well. If it's a request from you, then I suppose I can help you out. Issei sighed in relief. His relief was short-lived when Akeno grabbed his arm and held it close. I'm still going to punish you, though, she purred. Yufufufu. Now, I wonder what I did with my whips and chains. Devil Ninja. After exiting the train, Naruto and Rias entered the first building they could find that would let them use the restrooms. Standing in front of a mirror, Naruto looked himself over. He had to admit, he looked pretty badass. While Bleach wasn't a series that he particularly enjoyed, it was one of Rias's favorites. There'd actually been a debate on the way here about which cosplay they should wear. It had been between Archer and Rin, Ichigo and Orihime, Natsu and Lucy, and Alibaba and Morgiana. Rias had argued with herself long and hard, with Naruto standing on the sidelines watching, before she'd come to her decision. Naruto, have you finished changing? Rias asked from outside the bathroom. Almost, Naruto called back. I'm putting on the finishing touches. Making a hand seal, Naruto applied a quick transformation jutsu to his hair, turning his blonde locks orange. There, all done. Exiting the restroom, Naruto found Rias standing out front. He paused. Rias had chosen to dress like Orihime when she'd been kidnapped by the Arankar. Her white dress went down past her knees. Small black lines defined the swell of her breasts, and a black belt wrapped around her thin waist. The shoulders were flared out, while the bust and hips conformed to Rias's voluptuous body like a glove. Her outfit ended with a pair of black boots. Wow, Naruto muttered. You like it? Grinning, Naruto gave Rias a thumbs up. You look hot. Why thank you. Rias smiled as she grabbed his hand and tugged him along. They exited the small store, ignoring the man at the register who gawked at them, and wandered into the crowded streets. He and Rias weren't the only ones dressed up. Numerous other people wandering down the street were also decked to the nines in cosplay. Being something of a newbie to the whole anime thing, Naruto only recognized a few of the outfits there, and only the cosplay that were from mainstream stuff and the few weird shows that Rias had introduced him to. "We're drawing a lot of attention," Naruto commented as several people pointed at them. "It's probably because we look a lot like the characters," Rias said, twirling a strand of her now orange hair. "I even dyed my hair for this." "You're lucky," she pouted. "All you have to do is that transformation of yours. This is going to take days to get out." "Ah, the price one pays for her obsession." Rather than get angry, Rias chuckled at the small jab Naruto made at her passion for anime. Wrapping both her arms around his left arm, she led the way to their destination. Having already been to Akihabara once, Naruto thought he'd known what to expect. He really should have known better. If there was one thing that life had taught him, it was that he should always expect the unexpected. Expectations had a tendency to be dashed when one least expected it to, after all. Whoa, they soon reached a massive complex, a ginormous building composed of glass and steel. Shaped like a dome, the building seemed to tower over everything else. Already hundreds of people were present. A large upside-down pyramid stood several meters from the building itself, and numerous people dressed in cosplay had congregated there. "This is where the convention is taking place." "Yep, pretty impressive, right?" "It's huge." That's what she said. Naruto paused before answering. When he did, it was with a smirk. "Well played, Rias. Well played." Clasping hands, Naruto and Rias grinned at each other before running into the crowd. He hadn't thought it possible, but they appeared to garner even more attention than before. Naruto wondered if it was because they were both foreign. Rias was a gorgeous girl who most people would have mistaken as someone of European descent, and while Naruto had never been to America before, a lot of people said that he looked like a Yankee. "I wonder what a Yankee is," Naruto thought. That thought was dispelled as he and Rias walked past several large pillars that appeared to be supporting a network of steel bars overhead. Rias already had tickets, so all they needed to do was show it to the staff outside, who waved them in. Ah, Naruto didn't think he'd ever seen so many nerds packed into a single place before. Then again, he didn't know if he was allowed to speak, since he was dressed in cosplay as well, and his girlfriend was the queen of nerds, even if she looked more like the kind of girl who enjoyed having tea parties and going to balls. "Come on, Naruto." With Rias in the lead, Naruto was pulled into the crowd of onlookers. They lost themselves within a sea of bodies. Rias pulled Naruto to all of her favorite stalls, where she bought several doujinshi and figurines. Several times they were stopped by photographers who wanted to take their picture. During these moments, they would stand in various poses, all of which Rias had taught him beforehand. After several hours of wandering, picture-taking, and shopping, Naruto felt dead on his feet. "Let's find a place to sit," Rias suggested, having apparently noticed his disheveled state. "Thank you." Locating a couch in one of the lounges, Naruto set their bags down and slumped onto the furniture. He closed his eyes and felt the couch shift as Rias also sat down. A second later, Rias snuggled into him, resting her head on his shoulders and her putting legs across his lap. The soothing scent of her hair, a combination of lilac and vanilla, made him relax. He wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her closer. "Hey, Naruto." "Yes, thank you for doing this with me." Opening his eyes, Naruto presented Rias with a smile. "You're welcome. I know you've wanted to come to a convention for a while now." "Yeah, still, I appreciate it. This really does mean a lot to me. Whenever you want to do something like this, just let me know," Naruto said, burying his face into Rias's hair. "I will." A soft silence penetrated their area, disrupted only by the noise of the crowd. The flash of several cameras went off, but Naruto ignored them as he closed his eyes and relaxed. He felt like he could fall asleep right there. "Tired? Hardly. It will take far more than 2 hours of walking to tire me out." "Speaking of walking around, are we going to do anything aside from walking and checking out the stalls?" "Of course we are." "Like what?" Rias lifted her head from Naruto's shoulder. Her were gleaming like 2 greenish-blue gems. "We're going to enter the cosplay competition together," she said succinctly. Devil Ninja. There were 2 cosplay competitions, one for singles and one for couples. Both were held in the same place, at the same time. Those who were competing stayed in a room behind a stage, and an announcer would call them up one by one. Next up, we have Sachin and Kuromaki, who are cosplaying as Inuyasha and Sesshomaru. Naruto looked at the stage from behind the curtain as two dudes dressed as pretty boys walked up on stage and struck a pose. It was a disturbingly erotic pose. The women in the crowd went crazy, and several were even launched through the air from the force of their nosebleeds. All the men turned green and blacked out. Never expected to see incest yaoi in an anime convention. The things you learn. Rias. Naruto turned to look at his girlfriend and felt a drop of sweat trickle down his neck. Rias looked frightening. Her normally blue eyes were glowing a demonic red. The sound of her teeth grinding together set him on edge. Dark shadows hovered over the top half of her face, so all he could make out was the glowing eyes and viciously gritted teeth. Rias, how dare those idiots destroy a fandom like that? Rias ground out in outrage. Inuyasha and Sesshomaru aren't in that kind of relationship. Inuyasha belongs to Kagome. Only you would get upset over something like that. Rias whirled on him. Aren't you mad, too? Those two idiots have completely destroyed everything that made those characters cool. Their attempts to attract attention have destroyed a fandom that has held strong for decades. I think you're overreacting a bit, overreacting. Naruto stumbled backwards when Rias got into his face. Everybody knows that Inuyasha loves Kagome, and even more people know that the only person Sesshomaru will give the time of day to is Rin. Those two aren't lovers. They're brothers. This is a travesty, Naruto. A travesty. Right, travesty. Rias narrowed her eyes at him. Do you not agree with me? Naruto honestly didn't care, but he knew what Rias would say if he said that. It was best to just go along with her in these instances. I completely agree with you. Liar. I'm being serious. Before Rias could respond, the female announcer spoke again. Next up, we've got none other than the famous Sirfal Levi Tan, who's dressed up as magical girl Milky Spiral 7. What? Naruto and Rias said at the same time. Turning back to the curtain, they looked out to see none other than Sirfal Leviathan, one of the four Satans and Sona Citri's older sister, posing in magical girl cosplay, much to the pleasure of all the men. Black hair was tied into long pigtails that went down to her butt. Purple eyes stared at the world like bright, iridescent bulbs. Despite not being very tall, she had a figure that many a model had killed themselves trying to achieve. Her large chest was covered by a sleeveless pink shirt with a cape attached to the back. Black sleeves wrapped around slender arms, ending in a pair of black fingerless gloves. Her skirt was short, and Naruto could see her panties as she posed. Pink and black thigh-high socks covered an amazing pair of legs, and black boots with pink ribbons were settled on her feet. A large cheer went up as Sirfal blew everybody a kiss. Winking, she turned around and walked backstage, where she inevitably ran into them. She gasped in surprise. It's Rias Tan and Naru Tan. Naru Tan. Naruto made a face at the nickname. I didn't expect to see you two here, Sirfal continued. Are you guys here to see me make my debut in the human world? Naruto wondered if it would be proper to tell her that they hadn't even known she would be here. Actually, we hadn't realized you would be coming here, Rias admitted, saving him the trouble. So I see. Sirfal looked a little disappointed, but she perked up quickly. Then why are you two here? Naruto looked at Rias, who was at a complete loss. Her Japanophilism was something that she'd gone to great lengths to hide from the public. Only the people who lived with them knew about her obsession. Telling a Mao, someone with the same status as her brother, was like telling God that she'd committed a sin. Looks like it's up to me. I'm a big fan of anime and manga. When I heard about this convention, I knew that I had to come, so I convinced Rias to come with me, Naruto lied. He liked anime and manga, sure, but he watched it mostly because Rias loved it. Oh, Sirfal's eyes widened as if surprised. You didn't really strike me as the otaku type, Naru Tan. I guess it's true what they say about not being able to judge a book by its cover. Right, next up is lovely couple, Rias and Naruto, who are playing Ichigo Kurosaki and Orihime Inoue. That's us. Naruto turned to Rias and held out his free hand. His other hand held what looked like a giant butcher knife. You ready? Yes. Rias took his hand, and together, they stepped onto the stage. The crowd grew silent as they walked forward. When he and Rias stopped, they gazed at the people below, then posed together, with him standing protectively in front of Rias while she stood behind him, a hand clutching her chest. The crowd went wild. They did several more poses, when Naruto was struck by inspiration. Naruto. Rias squeaked in surprise when Naruto pulled her into a one-armed hug. He grinned. Fans love to ship couples, right? That's what you do all the time. So, let's give them something to really go crazy about. What are you, MPH? Rias's eyes widened as Naruto's lips hampered her own. She blinked several times, a blush spreading across her face before she slowly closed her eyes and leaned into him. The world around them disappeared. The people faded to the background. Nothing existed in that moment anymore. It was just them, Rias and Naruto. Then the world reasserted itself as Naruto pulled back. He gave the flustered-looking Rias a bright grin. She looked at him, her cheeks flushed a bright shade of red. You're really being bold today, aren't you? I'm just following your advice. I don't remember telling you to do anything like this. Should I not have? Rias paused, then shook her head. No, I liked it, she muttered, turning her head away from him. Then it's all good. Now, let's take a bow. You're really getting into this. So, you can tell. Of course, I can always tell what my boyfriend is thinking. With matching grins, he and Rias held hands and bowed to the crowd that was going absolutely wild, cheering and screaming. Not all of the screams were good. It seemed as if some of the people shipped another Bleach couple, Ichigo and Rukia, and they were upset that he and Rias would ruin their favorite pairing. Most people seemed to enjoy their antics, however, so it was all good. Wow, what an adorable couple. That was Rias and Naruto dressed as Orihime and Ichigo, folks. Let's give them a round of applause. Giving one final bow, Naruto tugged on Rias's hand and left the stage. That was really cool, you too. Seraphal said in greeting as he and Rias went back inside. She seemed even more excited than they were. You two were so cute. Thank you, Rias mumbled. Her cheeks were still red. Do you think you'll win? Seraphal asked. Naruto shrugged. Don't know. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. And now to announce the winners of this year's cosplay competition, the announcer lady said. Rias, in spite of being embarrassed, turned to the stage and stared at the woman as if willing her to select them. In third place for the singles competition, we have Daisuke Kanda dressed as Natsu Dragneel. In second place, Kurahino Sachiya as Yuno Gasai, and first place belongs to none other than Seraphal Levi Tan. Yay, magical girl Levi Tan wins. Laughing like a child, Seraphal rushed onto the stage, where she received her prize. She's awfully excitable, Naruto said. That's Seraphal-sama for you, Rias agreed. She's been like that ever since I've known her. It drives her sister insane. Interesting. Seraphal came back, her giddy expression making Naruto smile. The woman was so excited that her enthusiasm was contagious. Even Rias, who'd been trying to hide her excitement since they'd met up with Seraphal, wore a wide smile. And now for the couples competition. In third place we have Hina and Chuya, who dressed as Edward Elric and Winry Rockbell. In second place goes to Kanade and Nuran, who came as Mashiro and Sarada. And finally, in first place, our winners of the couples competition is. Naruto and Rias gripped each other's hand tightly. Marakita and Hiroshina, who played Kuro and Shiro. Naruto and Rias stared blankly at the announcer as two men whose black and white outfits contrasted with each other walked onto the stage. Naruto felt like a bucket of cold ice water had been dumped on him. From her expression, Rias felt the same way. Devil Ninja, it was Sunday evening. The sun was setting by the time their train arrived in Ku Station. Naruto and Rias took a taxi to a small park, where they got out and walked the rest of the way home. Holding his girlfriend's hand, their fingers entwined together, Naruto listened to the disappointed Rias as she bemoaned their unfortunate fate. I can't believe we didn't win. We didn't even get third place. And that stupid yaoi couple who ruined a perfectly good bromance ended up in first. Rias was an avid shipper. She had so many couples that she shipped that he'd long since lost count of them. He wondered if that was something that all Japanophiles did, or if Rias was just special. Seeing his girlfriend get so worked up over a fictional pairing made him chuckle. What are you laughing about? This is serious, Naruto. You are just way too cute, Rias. I hope you never change. The smile that appeared on Rias's face was one of seductive gratitude. I think words like that deserve a reward. They do. Naruto turned his head to look at her. The moment he did, Rias leaned up and placed a kiss on his lips. Thank you, she whispered. I know I'm not always an easy girl to please. If you say so, I think you're perfect just the way you are. Rias let go of Naruto's hand and moved closer to him, taking his arm and putting it over her shoulder. He got the hint and pulled her close. She placed her head on his shoulder, and they walked the rest of the way home like that. You remember what you're going to do when we get home? Yep, good. Be sure not to just spring it on her, okay? Revel needs a delicate touch. Delicate touch. Got it. I'm being serious, Naruto. You need to be delicate when asking her out. Hey, I can be delicate. When Rias deadpanned, Naruto turned his head and grumbled, causing her to chuckle. Their home looked the same as it always did, a large, imposing Japanese-style mansion. The front yard, reminiscent of a traditional Japanese garden, had a koi pond and stream running underneath a bridge, which he and Rias walked across to reach the front door. They opened the door. Get back here, you damn cat, and ducked underneath a fireball that flew over their heads. Revel snarled as she launched another fireball at Kaneko, whose cat-like laughter eerily reminded Naruto of Kuroka. The fireball missed the Nekosho and instead exploded against the wall, bursting into a brilliant plume of sparks. He was very grateful they'd decided to fireproof these walls. Wah, my hair. Why is it always getting lit on fire? Please calm down, Metatron-sama. I can't put it out with you running around like that. Oh, Michael-sama, this must be a trial that you have placed before me. Fear not, I will put out the fire on Metatron-sama's head. Naruto and Rias stood in the doorway for several seconds, wondering about what kind of hell they'd just jumped into. It was like they'd stepped into a chaotic world of unimaginable proportions. Everyone was running around, fireballs were being flung through the air, Metatron was beginning to look extra crispy, and Irina was freaking out. What is going on here? Rias demanded to know. Everyone stopped what they were doing and turned to face them. Naruto-sama, Rias-sama, Revel squeaked. What are you all doing? Rias asked with a sigh. This is Naruto-tan, NYA. NYA. Whoa. Naruto was surprised when Kaneko leapt at him like a tigress leaping on a mouse. She tackled him to the floor, where she proceeded to nuzzle her face against his chest. NYA, NYA, NYA. It's Naruto-tan. You smell so good. What the heck, Kaneko? What's wrong with you? NYA, Naruto-tan, let's make babies, NYA. Be babies. Naruto knew that something was wrong with Kaneko. He didn't know what, but the Kaneko that he knew never acted like this. She was acting like a horny cat. And dang it, he was responding to her. Crap, if she doesn't stop rubbing against me, my dick's going to be hard enough to cut glass. Rias, help. So, Rias turned to Revel as Kaneko continued to rub herself against Naruto like a cat marking her territory. How did this happen? Don't ignore me, damn it. That's my fault, Irina admitted. I found a stray cat the other day. It was living in a cardboard box and I felt really bad for it, so I brought it home with me. I bought some catnip at the convenience store and Kaneko found it. Oi, Rias nodded several times. That makes sense. Well, I guess there's nothing to do but wait it out. What do you mean, wait it out? Naruto shrieked when a tail snuck down his pants. Good luck, Naruto. Rias gave him a thumbs up. Wait, what do you mean good luck? Rias, help me. Devil Ninja, it took nearly 2 hours for Kaneko to run out of juice. Naruto felt like he'd been put through a dry tumbler. His hair was a mess, his clothing was ruffled, he was exhausted, and there were several suspicious stains on his pant legs that he'd rather not think about. In short, he really wanted to head to bed. Unfortunately, there were still things that he needed to do before he could reach the blissful nirvana that was slumber. Sitting on Kaneko's bed, Naruto tenderly ran his hands through the girl's hair. Her white locks parted like silk threads before his fingers. Her hair was impeccably soft. Even though he was exhausted, Naruto felt like he could have stayed like this for hours. Naruto, pet me more, Kaneko mumbled in her sleep. She seems to be enjoying herself, Ophis said. Yeah, she really likes it when I pet her. Must be nice to have you pet her like that, I guess. You should pet me, too. Naruto bit his tongue and tried not to scream when he realized that Ophis was now in the room. He stared at the dragon god, his heart trying to beat its way out of his chest. When had she shown up? How had she snuck up on him without him realizing it? What kind of ninja was he to let a half-pint little girl sneak up on him? When did you get here? I've been here for several minutes. Naruto twitched. Couldn't you have knocked on the door? I did. You didn't answer. All right. You got me there. So, what have you been up to? Research. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Ophis nodded. Yes, research. Please look forward to it. Naruto didn't want to know. Right, well, I've got some things to do, so. I'll come with you, Ophis said, climbing onto his lap. What are you doing? Carry me. Naruto sighed, but he didn't have the strength to argue. He picked up the dragon disguised as a girl, and carried her out of the room. Rias and Irina were waiting for him. They stood outside of the door, one looking worried and the other frowning at Ophis. What are you two doing? We just wanted to check on you and Kaneko, Rias assured Naruto. How is she? Sleeping like a baby now. Rias gave him an apologetic look. Sorry for not helping you out. Had you tried to help, Kaneko would have simply changed targets. It was better this way, I think. I'm sorry, Naruto-san, Irina apologized, squirming. I was the reason Kaneko-san was acting like this. It's fine. Just, don't buy any more catnip, okay? And if you do, be sure to get rid of it before coming here. Right. Irina nodded, her expression serious. Don't worry, Naruto-san. I swear on the great Michael-sama that I'll do exactly what you ask. Ah, Michael-sama. This must be a lesson from him about learning to coexist with devils. As a starry-eyed Irina clasped her hands in prayer, Rias turned back to Naruto. By the way, why is Ophis in your arms? Because I want him to carry me, Ophis said. Why did that sound like a question? Rias pressed a hand to her face. Anyway, Revel is currently in her room. You should go there before getting ready for bed. Naruto agreed. Ophis, I need to talk to Revel alone, so can I let you down now? Why are you asking her for permission? Rias asked. Ophis frowned. It was tiny, minuscule even, but it was there. Fine, she muttered, sounding almost disappointed. But you're going to spend more time with me. She must have been feeling neglected, Naruto realized. He'd been so busy that he hadn't spent much time with her. Sure thing. You and I will do something fun together later, Naruto said. After parting ways with Rias, Irina, and Ophis, Naruto found himself in front of Revel's door. It was a very normal door made from wood and painted white. It didn't look any different from any other door in the house, yet Naruto felt a sense of foreboding as he stared at it. Is it because of what happened the other day? Naruto wondered. Rias told me that Revel had probably been asking if I was busy because she wanted to spend time with me. It must have hurt when I told her that I'd made plans. The very idea of hurting the people he cared about was anathema to him. Yet that was what he'd done. He'd hurt someone important to him. I have to make things right. He knocked on the door. Revel, are you in there? Pausing, Naruto strained his ears to listen. There was nothing at first, but soon, he could hear the padding of feet along carpet. The sound soon stopped. There was a click. Then the door opened, and a single blue eye surrounded by blonde hair peeked out of the crack. Naruto-sama, hey. Naruto gave her a soft smile. Can I come in for a second? I wanted to talk to you about something. The door remained partially closed for a moment, and Naruto feared Revel would slam the door in his face. After several tense seconds of silence, she hesitantly opened the door. Come on in. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you. Revel's room looked exactly as he expected it to. The light pink walls complemented the beige carpet. Portraits of her family hung from the walls. Off to the side sat a round table with glass chairs, and a tea set had been placed on top of it. Her bed, which was a bunk bed that she normally shared with Kaneko these days, was situated in a corner of the room. "Would you like to have a seat, Naruto-sama?" Yes, thank you." Naruto felt nervous as he sat down on a chair. His heart was like a bongo drum in his chest, pounding away with the force of an earth jutsu. He cursed himself. Before now, he would have never been this nervous around Revel, but his heart had been going haywire ever since he'd learned about her feelings for him. In hindsight, it should have been obvious that she liked him. Naruto couldn't believe he'd been so blind. "Can I get you something to drink?" "Oh, no, please don't trouble yourself. Why don't you also sit down, Revel?" "Okay." Revel sat down on the opposite side of the table. She observed him with the slightest of frowns, and Naruto could sense the way her eyes studied him, cataloging everything about him. "You're troubled." It was not a question. Somehow, Revel always seemed to see through him. "Are you okay?" I should be the one asking that. Naruto felt sick to his stomach, and not just because he'd come here to do something he never thought he would do. Even now, after he'd hurt her, Revel still expressed more concern for him than she did for herself. That is, I'm just, well, I was wondering, Naruto." Naruto winced. He was tripping over his words like a newborn tripping over their feet when they first started to walk. This wasn't like him at all. What happened to the young man who plunged on regardless of the consequences? Where had he gone? I guess it's different now. This isn't like when Rias and I became a couple. It's not the same. He was uncomfortable with the idea of being with someone other than Rias. At the same time, he really did love Revel and Kaneko and wanted them to be happy. Rias had expressed this desire as well, which was what had led to now. But now that he was here, worry gnawed at him like a rabid pack of angry dragons. "Come on, Naruto, just do it." Standing up rather abruptly, Naruto startled poor Revel, who released a squeak of surprise. "Revel, yes. Will you go out with me, eh?" Revel sat there, staring at him with unblinking eyes. She didn't seem to understand what he was asking, at least not at first. It took a while, but as the seconds ticked by, Revel's eyes slowly widened and her cheeks grew warm. They went from a soft pink to an iridescent red. Naruto thought they might catch fire. What are you asking?" "I'm asking you to go on a date with me," Naruto plunged ahead. He couldn't allow himself to stop now. "Would you like to go out with BWA?" Naruto screamed in surprise and pain when a fireball exploded off his face. "Yo, you can't ask a girl that so suddenly," Revel shouted, her voice a high-pitched squeak. She stood up abruptly, the chair she'd been sitting in tipping over. What do you think you're, Kya?" Revel. As Revel tripped over her own chair and began to fall, Naruto grabbed her hand and pulled her to him. He wrapped his arms around her small but womanly figure. Revel buried her face in his chest, and her small hands came up to grasp the back of his shirt. Her hands were trembling. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked. "Did you mean it?" Revel asked, her voice muffled. What? Do you really want to go out with me?" Naruto relaxed as her words reached him. "Of course I do. I wouldn't be asking you to go on a date with me if I didn't want to go out with you." "What about Rias?" Naruto wondered what he should say. If he said that Rias told him to ask her out, then it would make it seem like he didn't want to go out with her. If he said that Rias wasn't involved in this, it would make it seem like he was going behind his girlfriend's back. "Rias and I have spoken about it," he said carefully, "and she said that she's okay with us going out." "Really?" Revel lifted her head up and set her chin on his chest. Her blue eyes glimmered as the light hit them. "Really? Really? Yeah, really, really." When Revel buried her face back into his shirt, he thought something was wrong. When his shirt became stained with tears, he felt like panicking. He was about to try and calm the blonde girl down. "I'm so glad," when she spoke. What? I was really worried. I really want to become closer to you, but I could never work up the courage, and then when I did, you were too busy to even spend time with me. And it hurt. I know it wasn't your fault, but it really hurt when you said you were doing something this weekend." Naruto pressed his face into Revel's hair. "I'm sorry. If I had known you wanted to go out with me, Well, I don't know what I would have done, but I would have thought of something. Can you forgive me? Ravel turned her head and pressed her ear against his chest. He wondered if she was trying to hear his heartbeat. Of course. More than anything else, I want to put what happened behind us. Okay. Then that's what we'll do, and we can go on our date next weekend, if you aren't busy. I'm not busy. I'd like to go out with you next weekend. All right, then, it's date. Naruto and Ravel smiled at each other, until they noticed how compromising their position was. Then they blushed and let go of each other. So, Ravel squeaked. Would you like some tea? Naruto, more than eager to play off what just happened, nodded fervently. Yeah, okay. Tea then, please sit down. I'll prepare some tea for you. As he sat down and Ravel left the room to prepare tea, Naruto wondered what the results of this day would bring. Whatever it brings, I'm sure it'll be interesting. You said it. Just then, a series of loud bangs and crashes came from outside the room. Kaneko, what are you doing? NYA, Ravel Tan. Let's have some fun in the bath together, NYA. No, wait. I'm supposed to bring Naruto-sama some tea. It's okay, NYA. He can join us, NYA. JJ join. Don't say something like that so readily. And stop trying to take off my clothes. As squeals erupted from beyond the door, Naruto shook his head and sighed. His life, it seemed, was about to become even more interesting. Why do I feel like there's a god out there playing with my life? Naruto wondered to himself. No one answered him, unfortunately. Chapter 23 Dates and Disasters. Ravel nervously allowed Rias, Irina, Kaneko, and Akeno to drag her through the mall. Having never been to a human mall before, or even a mall in the underworld, she was taken aback by how many people were present. They filled the hallways, sat along benches, and stuffed themselves into stores. Why are there so many people? She asked as they walked through the thick crowd. Because it's a mall, Rias said succinctly. Kaneko nodded. Lots of people go to the mall on Saturdays. Ravel nodded, but she didn't say anything. Maybe it was her imagination, but their group seemed to be receiving a number of leering gazes. Several men looked her way. The lecherous intent pouring from them made Ravel want to light them on fire. Are you okay, Ravel? Rias asked. I don't like the way those people are looking at us, Ravel said. Don't worry, Yakitori. If any of those guys come near us, I'll beat the crap out of them. Kaneko gave her a thumbs up. It doesn't make me feel any better when you call me Yakitori. Is this natural? Irina asked. Even she seemed disconcerted by the number of teenage boys staring at their group. I haven't gone to a mall in a long time, so I don't know what it's supposed to be like, but we do seem to be getting a lot of attention. Rias hummed as she studied their surroundings. I'd say this is about normal. Men are always gawking at us at school. If you think this is bad, you should have seen what it was like when Naruto and I went to Comic-Con. It was even worse than this. I can imagine, Kaneko said dryly. You dressed in skimpy cosplay is bound to attract more trouble than it's worth. How did Naruto take it? Naruto's not the type of person who'd get upset over something like that. Besides, he attracted just as much attention. Kaneko shrugged. If you say so. Ooh, you're all so excited, Akeno giggled. I think it's so nice that we're all helping Ravel-san look for clothes. Asia clasped her hands in front of her face as if praying. Come on. Rias clapped her hands together and smiled. I know the perfect place to find something cute. As the one in charge of this operation, which had been officially christened, Operation Find Ravel a cute outfit for her date, Rias directed them to a store that she deemed contained appropriate date wear. The store they went into was a smaller boutique that focused on fashion for teen girls. Because Ravel was still getting used to reading kanji, she didn't know what the store was called, but it looked like a nice place. Racks filled with shirts and pants lined the store, cute coats and frilly dresses hung from hangers, and various jeans were folded up on shelves. Oh, Ms. Rias, a woman exclaimed in surprised delight. She was a middle-aged woman, but due to her bright smile and sunny disposition, she appeared much younger. It has been quite a while since I last saw you in my store. Hello, Karia, Rias greeted pleasantly. I see that your daughter isn't working today. She's in college now. Karia's smile was that of a proud parent. You know how some girls are. Do you need help finding anything, or should I stay out of the way this time? I think we'll be fine for now, thank you. Rias placed a hand on Ravel's shoulder. I'm just helping my friend pick out an outfit for her first date with the boy she likes. Oh, my. Karia smiled as Ravel's cheeks turned into a bonfire. First dates are awfully important. If you need any help, please do not hesitate to call for me. Will do, thank you. Ravel watched the woman move behind the counter as Rias guided her to a section of the store, one that contained a variety of pants, shorts, and skirts. There, they, as in everyone except for her, began to pick out clothes they thought she would look cute in. Ravel was embarrassed by how much attention everyone was paying to her. Who was that woman? Ravel asked, more to get her mind off her embarrassment than for anything else. That's Karia Kurisaka, Akino answered for Rias. She's the owner of this shop and a guru on fashion. She was one of the first humans I met when I came to live in the human world. I learned a lot about human culture and fashion from her, Rias added, grabbing several outfits off the racks and carrying them to Ravel. Anyway, why don't you go into the changing room and try these on? Oh okay. Ravel felt her cheeks flush as she was handed several outfits. She couldn't see how they looked yet, but she was already imagining showing each one off to Naruto, of his reaction to seeing her in cute clothes. The very thought made her cheeks feel like they were on fire. She made her way into the changing room, which had a place to sit in a full-body mirror. Placing her clothes on the chair, she slowly stripped off her current garments, the purple dress that she almost always wore outside of school. As her dress slid down to reveal her slender body, Ravel stared at herself in the mirror. She'd often been told that she was beautiful, but living with Rias and Irina made all of the confidence that she had in her looks go down the drain. Rias was everything that she wanted to be, confident, gorgeous, and with big breasts. While Ravel knew that her body proportions were impressive for her age, Rias put her to shame. Will Naruto even like someone who doesn't have BBB big, what am I saying? Ravel shook her head. Now wasn't the time to think such things. Naruto had never struck her as the type who went after a woman because of their looks, or their boobs, and he'd already admitted that he thought she was cute. Surely, that meant he liked how she looked. She slipped into one of the outfits that Rias had chosen for her, simple jeans and a shirt. The jeans were interesting in that they were asymmetrical. The left pant leg was long while the right barely covered her butt. The shirt was sleeveless and pink, with several strategically placed rips along the back and shoulders to reveal hints of skin. Her outfit was finished with a pair of cute Converse shoes. Pulling back the curtain and stepping outside, Ravel allowed the others to see her outfit. Oh, Irina clapped her hands together. You look so cute. Ravel blushed. It really does suit you, Rias added with a smile, further deepening the redness of Ravel's cheeks. Akino hummed. Is something wrong, Akino-sama? Asia asked. Akino flinched at the added respectful suffix, but she tried to play it off with a smile. Nothing in particular. I was just thinking that her outfit is missing something. Do you really think so? Yes, though I don't. Oh, that could work. Akino rushed off toward a stand that was holding a variety of hats. She grabbed one and came back, presenting the hat to Ravel. It was a small flat cap. Black. It looked like something that might have been worn in New York instead of Japan. Wear this, Ravel-san. It will go nicely with your blonde hair and blue eyes. She looked at Rias, who nodded, and then took the hat. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Ravel put the hat on and looked at the others. She squirmed as they studied her, feeling like an animal that was being gawked at through a cage. What do you think, Kaneko? Asked Ravel. Kaneko remained silent for several seconds, and then she gave Ravel a thumbs down. The shirt is nice, but I don't think the pants look very good on you. What's wrong with the pants? Irina asked. They're too scandalous, and Yakitori is a prim and proper young lady. Stop calling me Yakitori. Maybe we should have her try on a skirt, Rias suggested. A general consensus was soon met, and the other girls all dashed off to grab the cutest skirts they could find, leaving Ravel standing in front of the changing room. Alone. Groaning, Ravel resigned herself to waiting. She could already tell. This was going to be a long day. Devil Ninja, I'm telling you, my house has become a war zone, Issei was telling Naruto and Kiba as they sat in a booth at a small diner, along with Metatron, who decided to tag along. Akeno-sama and Rainier are constantly fighting about something. The house has been wrecked several times. I'm at my wit's end here. Since the girls had decided to go shopping, minus Rainier who was likely stuck at home, they were having a guys' night out, which basically meant they'd gone to the arcade, and then went for some food. Naruto found that he was quite fond of arcades. He loved playing the fighting games. It sounds Akeno isn't too fond of Rainier, Kiba stated. Thanks for stating the obvious, pretty boy, Issei snarked. Pretty boy, is it because Rainier is a fallen angel? Naruto asked. Or is it because Rainier tried to kill you? Rainier tried to kill Issei. Metatron, the Void of God, who was currently dressed in an I Love Ninja t-shirt and jeans, asked. When did this happen? It happened when Issei was still human, Naruto said. How atrocious. To think that she would kill a human. Metatron stood up and ranted. Does she not realize that it's against the laws of heaven to kill a human? I don't think she cares, Kiba answered the angel dryly. I don't know, Issei continued their conversation with a groan. All I know is that Akeno-sama despises Rainier. Like, she really hates her. Naruto hummed thoughtfully. And how do you feel about Rainier? Months ago, Rainier had been in charge of a group of fallen angels that had killed Issei and tried to steal Asia's sacred gear, which had effectively killed her in the process. Both Asia and Issei had been reborn as devils under Rias Ramori. However, that didn't change what happened, nor did it get rid of Rainier's sin. Naruto wouldn't have been surprised to hear that Issei hated the fallen angel. I'm not sure yet, Issei admitted. I mean, I know I don't like her, but it's not like I hate her guts either. I just don't like what she did to Asia back then. A waitress came up to their table and, after unsuccessfully trying to flirt with Kiba, she left with their orders. And how does Asia feel about Rainier? Asked Kiba. She was frightened at first, Issei stated, idly trailing his index finger along the lip of his cup. But she's been trying really hard to make friends with Rainier. The problem is Akeno-sama. She doesn't like it when either myself or Asia try to be nice to Rainier. Do you think she's jealous? Naruto wondered out loud. You don't think that's the reason, do you? Issei asked, his eyes growing to the size of pinballs. Why would she be jealous? Maybe she feels like her position is being threatened by Rainier, Kiba suggested. Women will often feel threatened when another woman comes into the picture. Your relationship with Asia works because Akeno has taken you both under her wing, but Rainier is a different sort of woman, and I doubt she's willing to let Akeno control her. Issei tilted his head. Do you think that's it? It's hard to say. I don't really know enough about the situation to tell you what's happening. Kiba shrugged. You know Akeno and Rainier better than I do. Issei groaned, his expression defeated. I wish I knew of a way to fix this. You could always kick Rainier out, Naruto suggested. Issei looked horrified. I can't do that. Rainier doesn't have anywhere else to go. The Fallen won't accept her back, so she'd be out on the street. How could you suggest such a thing, Ninja-sama? Metatron added, aghast. While Naruto didn't show it, he was pleased with Issei's answer. His friend really was a kind person. I'm not saying you should. I was just suggesting it. If Rainier and Akeno are going head to head, then the best thing to do would be to either separate them, or talk it over with Akeno and see if there was something that you can do to help ease her worries. His shoulders slumping, Issei had never looked more defeated in his life. I've already tried that, but Akeno-sama has been avoiding me recently. Avoiding you? Yeah, Issei drew circles on the table. Akeno-sama has been avoiding Asia and me. Whenever we're in the same room, she gives us this weird look and leaves before we can talk to her. In fact, I think she spends more time with Rainier than she does us now. But, aren't you three sleeping together? Naruto asked. Issei shook his head. We used to, but ever since the peace conference, Akeno has slept in a separate bed. That didn't sound good, but Naruto didn't know if he could say that he was surprised. He'd thought it was a little weird when Akeno started dating Issei. Yes, it was true that they seemed to get along, but he thought that was more due to Issei having such a malleable personality. Unlike Naruto, who was strong-willed and set in his ways, Issei could be changed, and Akano had changed him. Issei had stopped being quite so pervy, he didn't hang out with his two friends as much, and he spent a lot of time trying to please Akano and Asia. He was still the same Issei. However, the differences between when Naruto had first met Issei and now were more than obvious. Didn't they start dating a little before Rias and I started dating? I think I remember Rias telling me something to that effect the day we confessed. Looking out of the window, the darkening sky told Naruto that they'd been in that cafe for over 2 hours. Their food soon came. After they finished eating, Naruto stood up and grinned at the pair. "It's been fun, you guys, but I've got to get home." Issei looked up at him in confusion. "Why, is something happening tonight?" "No." Naruto's grin widened. "But I've got a date with Revel tomorrow, and I want to be well rested so I can make it the best date she's ever been on." Devil Ninja. Naruto was inexplicably nervous that Sunday. He didn't understand why. It wasn't like he hadn't gone on a date before. He and Rias went on plenty of dates and he'd never felt this nervous. Is it because Rias and I clicked more easily? No, that can't be it. Maybe it's because we'd already been through so much before we started dating. Walking back and forth across the living room, Naruto questioned his decision to take Revel out. What if he wasn't good enough? What if Revel didn't have fun? What if she decided that she didn't want to be with him anymore? So many questions. Too many questions. Naruto's mind was inundated with worry. "If you don't stop pacing, you're going to set the carpet on fire," Rias said. Naruto stopped walking. "Sorry. Why are you so nervous? It's just a date." "I know that." Running a hand through his hair, Naruto took in a deep breath, and then sighed. "I don't know why I feel nervous." "Do you know where you're going to take her?" "Yes." "Are you afraid that she won't like where you take her?" "Maybe a little." Rias smiled. "You're worried that Revel won't enjoy where you take her, or that she won't enjoy spending time with you. I like how thoughtful you are, but you tend to pointlessly worry yourself when it comes to the littlest things." "That's not a nice thing to say to your boyfriend," Naruto pointed out with a pout. "But it's true. Any place that you take Revel, anything that you decide to do with her, I can promise you that she will love it." "You think so?" "I know so." Naruto calmed down at Rias's words. She was right. Of course she was right. He was worrying over nothing. "There's no need to stress yourself out, Naruto." Opening his mouth, Naruto was prepared to thank Rias, but he never got the chance, because the door opened at that moment, and Irina stepped out. "Revel's finished getting dressed," Irina said. "It took a little longer than I expected," Rias muttered lightly. "Kaneko wanted to do her hair," Irina admitted. "So, let's see how she looks." "Ah, about that, hey," shouting came from behind Irina. What are you? Stop pushing me. Hurry up, Yakitori, your date's awaiting you." "Don't call me that, and I already know that Naruto-sama is waiting for me." "Then why are you stalling?" Because just give me a minute to center to myself." "Stop pushing me, and no, I'm not emotionally prepared yet." Irina leapt out of the way as the door burst open again, and Revel suddenly flew into the room. She stumbled, but managed to catch herself before she could fall. Momentarily freezing, her cheeks became colored with red, though she quickly tried to readjust herself and pretend that nothing had happened. And Naruto-sama," she mumbled under his gaze. How do I look?" Naruto couldn't answer right away. He was struck slightly speechless. When he'd first met Revel during the time that her brother, Riser, had traveled to the occult club room, Naruto had thought that she was a cute girl who epitomized the Ojo-sama appearance. A prim and proper young lady with an excellent pedigree. He still thought that to some degree after she'd arrived here. Those thoughts flew out the window as Revel stood before him. Her denim skirt cut off halfway up her thighs, revealing just enough to be enticing, but not enough to be slutty. A sleeveless pink shirt adorned her torso, conforming to her as if reveling in her beautiful figure. Her normal drill bit curls were gone. Instead, her hair had been artfully arranged in loops, which showed off her slender neck. A black cap sat on her head, likely holding her hair in place. As the girl squirmed under his gaze, he looked down at her black and white Converse, which seemed somehow cute despite their innocuousness. And Naruto-sama. I didn't think you could get any cuter." Grinning sheepishly, Naruto scratched the back of his head. Guess I was wrong. Chew. Revel's face caught fire. If I didn't know you any better, I'd almost expect you were doing that on purpose, Rias said. Naruto turned to her with a confused look. Doing what on purpose? Never mind. Why don't you take Revel out on her date now? Right. Spinning back to Revel, Naruto extended a hand for her. You ready to go? Jumping in shock, Revel needed several seconds before she could reply. Yes. She reached out to take his hand, but Kaneko stepped up to Naruto, blocking the way. The young Neko devil hybrid stared up at Naruto. Kaneko. Naruto questioned the girl, whose gaze was surprisingly steely. Treat her right, Kaneko said seriously, her large cat ears twitching. Putting on a gentle smile, Naruto reached up and patted Kaneko's head. Don't worry, I'd never do anything to hurt Revel. You'd better not. After placating Kaneko, Naruto took Revel by the hand. They soon left the stupidly large mansion with more rooms than he would ever need. Speaking of, he really should think about downsizing that place. As they walked down the street, Revel, still blushing, looked up at Naruto. So, where are we going for our date? Grinning like a man who'd just been told he'd won an all-paid vacation to a 4-star hot spring resort, Naruto said, we're going to the fair. Devil Ninja, it took several hours to arrive at the fair. Naruto and Revel had to hop on a bus, which drove them to the other side of Kuo. Naruto hadn't been to a fair in a long time, not since his training with Jiraiya. The streets were lined with vendors. Food stalls and game booths galore filled the area, along with massive amounts of people. Like a tide the crowd surged, their scents intermingling to create a poignant odor that was neither pleasant or unpleasant, but simply overpowering in how heady it was. Because he didn't want them to get separated, and to keep pervs from trying anything, Naruto had wrapped an arm around Revel's shoulder. The girl pressed her blushing face against his torso as they walked. What should we do now, Naruto-sama? Now, Naruto looked down at Revel and grinned. Now, we have some fun. And have fun they did. Naruto took Revel to all of the booths. They tried out various tasty treats, played the games, and wandered through the street. One of the places they tried was, obviously, the Shiteki booth. Naruto had learned from Rias that Shiteki, or the shooting game, was a traditional Japanese game at festivals. Oi, old man, I'd like to have a try. That'll be 500 yen, said the old man behind the booth. Grinning, Naruto slapped the money on the table and grabbed the gun. He'd never held a gun before, though he'd seen some back in the elemental nations. This one was just a toy that shot caps, but, still, he was kind of excited. Which prize do you want, Revel? How about that one? Revel pointed at a small box that contained what appeared to be sparklers. Yosh, here we go. Naruto aimed the gun, shot, and missed. Frowning, Naruto aimed once more, shot, and missed again. Growling as he realized that shooting a gun was harder than he though, Naruto gave several more tries, and he missed every time. Another round, old man. Naruto slapped 500 yen on the table. There's no way I'm letting some game beat me. If you say so. It looks like shooting might not be your thing, though. We'll see about that. Several more tries and 1,500 yen later, Naruto hadn't hit a single item. As he crouched on the ground, moping, an uncertain Revel stood behind him, consoling him. It's okay, Naruto-sama. It looks like gun shooting is hard. I've never done it before either, so. That reminds me. Standing back up, his face brightening as if nothing had happened, Naruto turned to Revel. Would you like to try the game? Me. I mean, it does look kind of fun, but. Then it's settled. Old man, give us another round. Coming right up, the old man shouted. Here you go, Revel. Grinning, Naruto held out the gun for Revel. She tentatively grabbed the gun. Holding it awkwardly like she'd seen Naruto do, Revel took aim, fired, and hit the box of sparklers. Whoa, Naruto whispered. Revel, Revel, thinking that Naruto was about to get depressed because she'd done better than him, said, I'm sure this is just beginner's luck. I'm sure that with a little practice, Naruto-sama could. You're amazing. Wah-eep. Revel squeaked as Naruto lifted her up and twirled her around, laughing. Though her face was redder than a balloon, Revel wore a smile as she laughed with him. When he set her down, the old man handed her the box of sparklers. Nice shooting, miss. Oh, thank you. Awesome job, Revel. Grabbing Revel's hand, Naruto tugged her off to somewhere else. Now, let's have some more fun. Beaming at him, Revel nodded. Right. He and Revel went to many more stalls, playing even more of the games and getting even more prizes. Turned out that Naruto really did just suck at shooting. Every other game he did well on, getting a prize after a single game. Most of the prizes he had to give away. They simply couldn't carry all of those prizes around. However, they did keep several for themselves, a set of matching keychains, a goldfish, and a stuffed phoenix, plus the sparklers that Revel had won. Walking through the crowd, Revel held a stick of cotton candy in one hand and Naruto's hand in the other. Naruto was holding the bags with their prizes, and the goldfish was sitting on top of the bag in its little water-filled container. This is really good, Revel exclaimed as if surprised. I've never tasted something so sweet. That's because cotton candy is nothing but sugar, Naruto told her with a chuckle. By the way, you've got some cotton candy on your cheek. What? I do. Revel tried to look down at her cheek. Naruto grinned as he reached over and plucked the sugary treat off. His date squeaked when he stuck the cotton candy in his mouth. What are you doing? I was just getting the cotton candy. Why you didn't have to, you shouldn't have eaten it. Why not? What was that? My face is probably sweaty from all this walking. It's dirty. That just means it's Revel flavored, right? Eep. After spending a good portion of their time wandering the main festival, Naruto deviated course and led Revel to a more secluded area, a park filled with bonsai trees. Without the noises generated by the crowd, it was easier for them to converse. Have you ever thought about what you plan on doing after graduating high school, Naruto-sama? Well, not really. I've never really been the type of person who plans ahead. Still, I imagine that I'll travel to the underworld after high school to help Aniki keep the peace between the three factions. More than anything else, I'd like it if we could avoid ever having to go to war. I think that's a good goal, Naruto-sama. Hehe, thanks. Studying the girl who was gently clasping his arm, Naruto asked, what about you? Do you want to do something specific? Revel stopped walking, forcing Naruto to stop with her. She looked down at the ground, kicking a rock with her Converse, which he tracked with his eyes before returning to her face. He couldn't see much. Her features, hidden by her cap and the shadows that it cast, were nearly invisible. However, he could see the light redness of her cheeks, which was nearly glow in the dark. Is there somewhere that we can talk about this, in private? She asked. Naruto looked up at the sky. Dusk was settling upon the land. The sky was painted in hues of red, orange, purple and pink, which swirled together as if a painter had stroked his brush through a thick canvas. Several dozen meters away, rising above the bonsai trees, a Ferris wheel lit up the sky with flashing lights. Come on. Grabbing Revel by the hand, Naruto led the girl to the Ferris wheel, where they waited in line for several minutes. Revel never saw Naruto exchange hands with the guy manning the Ferris wheel. Holding the door open for her, he helped her into the small sitting box, and then climbed aboard himself. Once the door was locked, the Ferris wheel started again. They sat in discomforting silence for several seconds. Revel wiggled in her seat and pressed her thighs together, as if trying to hide something embarrassing. He guessed that she felt her skirt was too short. That outfit wasn't really her style. It had Rias written all over it. Actually, her entire outfit reminded him of anime in which a character called Kanjiki no Yami was taken shopping and dressed up like a doll. As their compartment gained altitude, Revel looked out the window and was taken aback by the sight. Wow, she pressed her hands against the glass. Look at how high we are. Everything looks so small, and all those lights are so pretty. Indeed, the evening, when the sun was sinking and the city lights were turning on, was one of the most breathtaking hours. Naruto sometimes sat on the roof of his house with Rias, watching this scene until well into the night. One time, they'd even fallen asleep like that. The Ferris wheel stopped when they reached the top, and Naruto decided it was time for them to finish their conversation. Ravel, flushing, Ravel faced him. She looked down, clutching her dress as if she was screwing up her courage, and then she looked back at him. You wanted to know if I have any plans after school. There is something that I want to do. Ravel paused, then took a deep breath. I was hoping to become your bishop, when you become a high-class devil. For some reason that he couldn't understand, that was the last answer that he'd expected. I see, can I ask why? Ravel was silent for a moment, but then, in a voice so soft that he could only pick it up thanks to his enhanced hearing, she spoke. When I was young, Mom used to tell me stories about heroes. How they were protective to their loved ones and fierce to their enemies, yet kind and compassionate to everyone. When I saw you fighting, you were fierce and strong. You tore through us like we were made of paper, but at the end of the day, you didn't hurt us any more than necessary. She paused, and her cheeks turned bright red. And you even were kind to me. The way you fought us, your compassion afterwards, and your protectiveness toward your friends, it reminded me of the heroes that my mom always told me stories about. Naruto didn't know if he'd ever felt this embarrassed. Listening to her story made him blush like nobody else had ever done before. It was flattering, truly flattering. Perhaps that's why he couldn't put on his big grin and toot his own horn. When I saw that, I knew that I wanted to be your bishop, and I want to be closer to you, Naruto-sama. I don't really care if it's just as a part of your peerage. I like you a lot. I really do. So if you could just let me stay with you then, kya. Ravel squealed when Naruto pulled her into a hug. What are you? Thank you. Naruto interrupted her. Thank you for having so much confidence in me, for wanting to be with me. I'd like to become closer with you, too. Really? Yes. Then, we should make a pact. A pact? Naruto stared down at Ravel, who was trying to look at him but kept averting her eyes. It was too adorable. How could anyone so pretty also be so cute? Why yes. You promised to take me on more dates, and make me your bishop when you become a high-class devil. If you do that, I'll promise to remain by your side and I'll love you forever. Naruto didn't need to think about his choices. He already knew what he was going to do. This decision was a no-brainer. What will we seal this pact with? A handshake, a contract, a kiss. Poof. Naruto blinked when Ravel's head spontaneously combusted. Maybe he shouldn't have said kiss. Well, it was too late now. The kisses, that's the one. Ravel seemed to be having trouble speaking, which he guessed he couldn't blame her for. Taking her face in his hands, Naruto tilted her head up. Ravel stopped talking. Her pink cheeks lent her a demure air that stole his breath, and her glossy lips were alluring enough that he was already getting sucked into them. Leaning down, Naruto closed his eyes as he placed his lips against hers. A pair of small, delicate hands clutched his shirt. Ravel's lips were soft, impeccably so, and her kiss was tentative. Naruto took the lead. Lowering his hand from her face, he placed it against her lower bottom and lifted her onto his lap. Ravel's arms went around his waist. When they pulled back, Ravel's breathless voice was like a seductive whisper in his ears. Naruto-sama. He didn't let her say any more. Within the small Ferris wheel, Naruto and Ravel conveyed their feelings through actions instead of words. Devil Ninja. They'd spent nearly 15 minutes on that Ferris wheel, getting lost in each other's lips and scent. It had been a flustered Ravel who'd gotten off after the ride ended. Since neither of them had wanted to leave, he and Ravel stayed at the festival for a while longer. They'd found an abandoned place just outside of the fairgrounds and set off the sparklers that Ravel had won. Afterward, they hopped onto the bus that would take them home. Ravel fell asleep moments after the bus began moving. With her head resting against his shoulders, Naruto had to wrap an arm around her to keep the blonde from falling off. Her warm breath tickled his neck. He tried not to pay attention to the sensation, though it was hard. It was likely the result of their passionate exchange on the Ferris wheel, but Naruto was aroused. But I have to take this slowly. I can't allow my hormones ruin our relationship. Ravel wasn't like Rias. He couldn't just jump into this and expect everything to turn out right. While Rias enjoyed her independence and didn't want someone who needed to rescue her, Ravel was the kind of girl who enjoyed being swept off her feet, even if she would never admit it. She needed a more delicate touch. The bus slowed to a stop, and Naruto scooped Revel into his arms and exited. He walked down the road, reaching his Japanese mansion, and slowly entered. The lights were off. Everyone must have been asleep. His feet made nary a sound as he stealthily crept through the mansion, eventually reaching Revel's room and carrying the sleeping princess inside. As he laid Revel on the bed, Naruto wondered if he should let her sleep in those clothes. Maybe he should get Kaneko to slip her friend into something more comfortable. But, wait, she was probably asleep. Guess there's no helping it. Revel wouldn't be wearing her collection of cute pink nightdresses tonight. Untying her shoes, Naruto gently slid them off her feet, and then placed them on the floor by her bed. He then lifted her again, pulled back the covers, and tucked the girl in. As Revel snuggled into the warmth of her bed, he placed a kiss on her cheek before walking out of the room. Rias was waiting for him outside of Revel's room. She wore a translucent nightgown, and nothing else. Naruto's already stiff problem skyrocketed when he saw his girlfriend's nipples poking through the fabric of her gown. A glance down revealed that she was at least wearing underwear, but it was the black lacy kind, which didn't help with his problem. "I thought I heard someone sneaking around," she said. Trying not to let her know how aroused he was, Naruto grinned. "I'm surprised you could hear it from all the way in our room." Rias smirked. "I wasn't in our room. I fell asleep on the couch while waiting for you two to return." "Ah, that would explain it." Taking Naruto by the hand, Rias led him down the hall. Her hand was so smooth, and despite himself, Naruto couldn't stop from imagining that same hand wrapped around his dick instead of his hand. It shamed him to admit it, but he was really aroused right now. "Did you two have fun?" "We did, and I guess Revel and I are officially in a relationship." "You guess?" Rias raised an eyebrow. "There is no guessing at this, Naruto. You either are or you aren't." "Then we are," Naruto grumbled. "Cut me some slack here. I'm still not used to the idea of polygamy." "You'll get used to it soon enough, especially since Kaneko is going to make her move soon." Naruto groaned. Rias giggled. After entering their room, Naruto locked the door behind him. Rias barely turned around when he pulled her into a searing kiss. Moaning inside of his mouth, Rias grabbed him by the head, pulling him deeper into her kiss, which grew hungrier by the second. Naruto matched her fervor. He plundered her mouth with his tongue, twirling, hooking, and catching it against her tongue. They never broke contact as they walked backwards. Rias's knees hit the back of the bed, yet even as they fell onto the mattress, they remained lip-locked. Naruto slipped his hands underneath Rias's nightgown to fondle her breasts. Her moans were like a beautiful siren song that he couldn't get enough of. The scent of her hair, of her perfume, of her, was akin to that of a fragrant poison, polluting the mind, sucking him in. He breathed in her scent, enjoyed the taste of her mouth, and the feel of her body against his. However, Rias was not one to be outdone, nor did she enjoy being led around. It wasn't long before Naruto found their positions flipped. He was now the one on bottom, and Rias pillaged the inside of his mouth like a pirate looking for buried treasure. His hands, which had been teasing her nipples, reached behind Rias and grabbed the plentiful flesh of her derriere. A moan escaped her mouth as the action brought her panty-clad mound against his erection. Naruto felt a hiss escape the back of his throat as pleasurable sensations rushed through him. "Someone's horny," Rias said unashamedly. Naruto rolled them over. Grabbing her hands, he raised them above Rias's head and pushed his weight against her, pinning her to the bed. "You have no idea," he mumbled. Leaning down, he kissed her again. When he came back up for breath, a string of saliva connected him. "I've been so hard that I haven't been able to think straight." "Did Revel turn you on that much? Should I be worried about being replaced?" Naruto knew that she was teasing him, but he still felt the need to clarify. "You never have to worry about anything. I love you. Every time I see you, I want to pin you against this bed, or the wall, or the kitchen table, and make you scream my name in pleasure. Revel is beautiful, yes, and she really does turn me on, but you do the same without even trying." Leaning down, Naruto nibbled on her ear. Rias's breathy moan, sensual enough that it raised goosebumps on his neck, beckoned him to reach down and massage her through her panties. "I can't get enough of you, Rias. When you say things like that, it makes me almost believe that your dense personality is just an act. Naruto frowned and stopped caressing Rias. I am not dense. You're stupidly dense, she countered. You couldn't even tell that Ravel and Kaneko both loved you. Naruto felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Still, Rias mused, wrapping her arms around his neck. That makes the times where you say something romantic like this all the more meaningful. Rias's smile was like rays of sunshine warming his heart. I love that about you. That's good, I guess. Rias's smile turned seductive. Now, then, I believe you said something about making me scream your name. Naruto grinned. It was going to be a pleasant night. Devil Ninja. The days passed slowly. With the elapse of time, Kuo saw more and more foreigners entering the city. It was much talked about topic. What none of the people knew was that these foreigners were not just people from another country. Angels, devils, and fallen angels flocked to Kuo in droves, seeking to live in this city, which had become the Three Factions Alliance headquarters. Naruto had heard tell from Searsex that many of these people were part of the peace treaty program. It was a part of the treaty that was designed to foster understanding between the three factions. Naruto thought it was a great idea. It was just another Monday. School had let out a little while ago. Rias was helping her brother with something, while Ravel and Kaneko had decided to spend the day mall crawling. It seemed that Ravel had come to enjoy the mall after her first time shopping last Saturday. Thinking of Kaneko made him remember how she'd been acting since his date with Ravel. She hadn't become more clingy, because, really, people couldn't get much more clingy than she already was. However, she had been a lot more affectionate. He supposed that was only natural, given what he now knew. Since Rias had given her tacit permission, Naruto always reciprocated Kaneko's advances. It probably wouldn't be long before they took their flirting to the next level. Ophis had been avoiding him. Well, not avoiding him, but she hadn't been as interested in spending time with him as she used to be. Whenever Naruto saw her these days, she always had her nose buried in a magazine. She even turned down the chance to go shopping with him. However, that day, he was not spending time with those four, but was instead in the presence of Irina Shido. The lovely exorcist who'd come to live with him had decided to help him with the grocery shopping. It was Naruto's turn that day. What are we looking for? Irina asked as they entered the grocery store. Naruto handed her the list before grabbing a cart. She read it out loud. Ramen noodles, miso stocks, chicken stock, ramen noodles, flour, ramen noodles, pork, ramen noodles, carrots, ramen noodles. As she went further down the list, a drop of sweat trailed down her face. I noticed there's something awfully unusual about this list. I don't know what you're talking about, Naruto said with a straight face. As they shopped, he and Irina conversed. Naruto discovered that their philosophies on how people should be treated matched surprisingly well. I don't think it's right for us to force other people to believe what we believe, Irina said. Part of the reason that God sent his son to die for us is because we have free will. That means that it's okay for other people to believe in what they want. If God can forgive them, then so can I. Irina's eyes sparkled as she spoke of God. Naruto rescinded his previous thoughts. Their philosophies didn't necessarily match. While he knew that God had existed, he wasn't religious. Never had been. Still, her idea that people should be able to believe in whatever they wanted matched his. You know, I don't think I ever asked this, but I've been wondering about your friend. I heard that you and that blue-haired girl were really close, so why isn't she here with you? Irina grew silent, and Naruto realized that he might have stepped on a paper bomb. However, after several seconds, she gave him a smile tinged in sadness. Zenobia had a falling out with the church. I'm not really sure what happened, but I hear that she got into an argument with the Pope and stormed out. No one from the church has seen her since then. Naruto winced. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked. No, it's okay. Irina shook her head. I don't mind telling you about this. I actually feel a little better now that I've told you. In that case, feel free to talk to me anytime. Naruto plastered on a boyish grin. I'm always here, and I'm surprisingly good at listening. I will. Thank you, Naruto-san. What's with the honorific? We're friends, right? Just call me Naruto. Oh okay, Naruto. That's better. They finished shopping and left the store carrying several dozen grocery bags. Most of the bags were filled with ramen, which Naruto planned on asking Revel and Rias if they wanted to cook it with him. He'd have liked to try making homemade ramen, but he couldn't remember how to make the dough. Maybe I should ask Revel and Rias if they know how to make ramen dough. The scenery soon changed. The shopping center became a residential district. As they were passing by a park, Naruto and Irina paused upon seeing an unusual sight. Rias was hiding behind a tree, spying on Akeno and Issei, who stood several feet away. They looked at each other, then, being careful not to be seen, walked up to Rias. "What's going on here?" Naruto asked in a hushed whisper. "Shish." Rias placed a finger against her lips, then turned back to the couple several feet away. Not knowing what else to do, Irina and Naruto followed Rias's example, hiding behind something so they could spy on Akeno and Issei's conversation. "I think we should break up." What are saying, Akeno-sama?" Issei asked, looking as shocked as Naruto felt. Did I do something wrong? Please, if I did something that you don't like, tell me and I'll change." Akeno shook her head and smiled sadly. "That's the problem, Eyes. I don't want you to change. The longer we've dated, the more I realize what a terrible person I've been to you and Asia-chan. I've been using you two to mask my own insecurities. Now that Rainier is living with us, I've begun to realize that I've done nothing but force you and Asia-chan to accommodate my whims. You don't need a selfish girlfriend who's trying to turn you into something you're not." "That's not true." Issei looked like he might burst into tears. "That's not true at all. Akeno-sama, you've made me into a better person. I didn't change because you forced me to change. I've changed because I wanted to become someone that you would be proud to call your boyfriend. I did it for you." Akeno's forlorn smile trembles. "That's the problem, Eyes. You did it for me, not for yourself. I've forced this on you." Wings sprouted from Akeno's back, one the wing of a devil and the other a fallen angel's wing. Issei's eyes widened. "Wait, I'm sorry, Akeno-sama." Naruto didn't know how to feel about seeing his friend having his heart crushed by the girl he loved. It hurt. Of course it hurt, but it was mixed with so many emotions, confusion being prime among them. He didn't know why Akeno was dumping Issei. Their relationship might have seemed whimsical to him, but that didn't mean they hadn't complemented each other. Akeno's sadistic nature had simultaneously tempered and fed Issei's perversion. That Issei was kind, helpful, and protective, on top of being the type of guy who wanted to please others, made what would have been a poorly put-together couple work. "Akeno, you idiot," Rias whispered to herself. What just happened?" Irina asked. "Why did Akeno-san break up with Eyes?" "I think I know why." Rias sighed. "And if I'm right, then she and I really need to talk." She sent Naruto a sad smile. "I'm sorry, Naruto, but I'll probably be a little busy for a while." Returning her smile with one of understanding, Naruto said, "It's fine. You do what you need to, and if you need any help, know that I've got your back." He looked at the clearing, where a shell-shocked Issei was on his hands and knees, mumbling incoherently. "In the meantime, I should probably help Eyes deal with this." Naruto turned to Irina. "I'm sorry to ask this, but could you take these home for me?" He held up the bag of groceries. "I don't mind," Irina said, taking the groceries from his hands. "You're going to help my childhood friend with his problem. I'll help you carry those home," Rias offered, taking some of the grocery bags from Irina's hand. "I can't talk to Akeno just yet anyway. She needs to cool off some before I try to find out what's really bothering her." "Okay, thanks, Rias, anytime." As Rias and Irina left, Naruto walked into the clearing. Issei hadn't heard him, apparently, for he didn't raise his head. Frowning, Naruto wondered if his friend had become a vegetable from the shock of being dumped. Placing a hand on Issei's shoulder, he watched as Issei silently raised his head. "Naruto, sensei, come on," Naruto said softly. "Let's go somewhere and talk." Issei nodded silently, not putting up a struggle as Naruto lifted him up and led him out of the part. Naruto sighed. He could already tell. Tough times were ahead. And there you have it. Akeno and Issei broke up, as promised. Also, I've finally decided on Akeno's final pairing. Because I don't want Naruto's harem to grow any bigger, she's not going with him. When too many women are added to a harem, their personalities disintegrate under the combined weight of the author having too many female characters to keep track of. They essentially turn into cum buckets whose only purpose is for the protagonist to stick his ridiculously oversized cock into them. That's not happening in my story. The final pairing with Naruto is Rias Revel Kaneko Office Irina. I'm not making the harem any bigger. The final pairing for Issei is going to be Asia Rainier. For Akano, I'm thinking of pairing her with Rossweiss. Why? Well, why not? It hasn't been done in a DxD story yet, so I'd like to see if I can make a believable lesbian pairing. What's more, I think Akano trying to put the moves on a freaked-out Rossweiss could be fun. If you have any thoughts on this pairing, feel free to share them. Before I leave, I would like to make 2 more announcements. First, Book 4 of the American Kitsune series, A Fox's Family, is officially available for pre-order on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Anyone who's interested in supporting my dreams of becoming a full-time author can either go straight to Amazon and look up A Fox's Family, or they can go to my website www.varnal-brandon.com. To those of you who decide to support me, thank you very much. It's because of you that I can continue writing every day. My second announcement is the republishing of Book 1, A Fox's Love. The original Book 1 was littered with mistakes and wasn't very good. I've fixed those mistakes, hired a professional editor to proofread my story, and added in book manga-style illustrations. If you've already bought a copy, you can upgrade to your new copy for free. If bought a paperback, then you can download the Kindle version for free. If you decide to do this, I hope that you enjoy the new version. For those of you who are curious to know what my published books are about, you can read the short description of them below. A Fox's Love, the story of a boy, a fox, and a lot of fanservice. Kevin Swift has the worst luck with women. It's not that he's unattractive or even unpopular. He just can't talk to them. He blames it on all of those shonen love comedies that he enjoys watching. Fortunately, or unfortunately depending on who's asking, Kevin's love life is about to start looking up. After saving a fox, Kevin discovers that he actually rescued a kitsune, a shapeshifter capable of transforming into a beautiful girl who appears to have popped right out of the pages to a shonen manga. Her name is Lillian, and she's decided that he's going to be her mate whether he likes it or not. Between dealing with an overly amorous vixen's zealous attempts at getting into his pants, his inability to talk to girls in school, Kevin is going to have his hands full. A Fox's Tale life has finally settled down for Kevin Swift. Sure, he's still dealing with Lillian's zany antics, but that's alright, he's actually starting to enjoy the gorgeous kitsune's continued presence. Too bad he's in denial. Unfortunately for him, life likes to throw fastballs when you least expect it to, and his life is about to get ugly. A tsundere dressed in gothic Lolita fashion, a boy whose hair is bigger than his brain. A new enemy that makes Chris Fleischer look like a 50-pound weakling. Trying to admit his feelings for a certain tomboy. Not to mention Lillian herself. Yeah, Kevin's got problems, and life can only get more strenuous from here on out. Oh, well, at least he hasn't been turned into a harem protagonist. A Fox has made the tale of a boy, a kitsune, and a maid. Kevin Swift doesn't know what to think anymore. His love for Lindsay has dwindled, he's constantly plagued by thoughts of Lillian, and now he has to deal with his sexy housemate's maid, a kimono-clad, katana-wielding femme fatale who doesn't like him very much, and who has this weird tendency of adding Japanese suffixes to everyone's name for some reason. Go figure. Now Kevin must make an irreversible choice, to become Lillian's mate or not. It's a life-changing decision that no teenager should have to make. Unfortunately for him, Lillian's maid has basically threatened to clean out his entrails with her katana if he doesn't. He used to think being a teenager sucked. Now he's realized that being a teenager is nothing compared to being the potential mate to a kitsune whose maid holds no moral compunctions about flaying him alive. A Fox's Family. 2 weeks have passed since Kevin Swift was kidnapped by spandex-clad secret agents, rescued by Lillian, and they were both subsequently saved by Lillian's faithful maid/bodyguard. Since then, Kevin has nabbed himself a foxy girlfriend, pun very much intended, and a person willing to train him in the arts of badassery. Needless to say, life has been good. Then Lillian's family decided to pay a visit. And everything went to hell. Sometimes, life gives you lemons. Other times, well, you get the picture. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.